Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our class. Today's class is going to be over CompanyCam being integrated with Zapier and how that can increase your productivity. We have Austyn Leach joining us from our support team. He is the expert on all things integration. So we'll go through our agenda here and then I will hand it over to him. He's in our video studio and we'll be going through everything on the agenda today. If you guys have questions as we continue to go through this class, drop those in the Q&A in Zoom. You can also drop those in the chat if necessary, but the Q&A is perfect so we can get to those in a timely manner. If it's something that pertains to the entire group, we may say that out to Austyn so we can go over those questions live in our class today. So today on our agenda, we're going to start out with what Zapier is. Then we're going to jump to how to create Zaps. Next, we will go to Zapier connections with CompanyCam and how to get some of those different Zaps set up. And then we're going to wrap up by going over the CompanyCam Chrome extension. If you guys have questions pertaining to things outside of what's on our agenda today, definitely reach out to your customer success rep. We're happy to help with that. We will drop the email in the chat at the end of our class today. If you don't know who your success rep is, you can email success@companycam.com. But if it's questions pertaining to class, we'd love to hear it so we can get those answered today. So we'll go ahead and get started here by passing it over to Austyn.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Erin. I appreciate it. Yeah, basically today we're going to get started on trying to make your life easier when it comes to automation. So I want you guys to really think today about like what are some tasks going on, in my office that I would like to automate? What is some of that busy work that could be spent, trying to go out and make some more money? And so we're really going to be looking over Zapier a lot today. And then we also have a really cool CompanyCam Chrome extension that we have that's going to be able to automate some work for you as well. And so when we get started here, talking about like what is Zapier, excuse me, yep, I'll get my screen share here. And so when I'm talking about, like what is Zapier? Zapier is an automation tool. It's a third-party automation tool that has over 5,000 different connections that you can create with CompanyCam. And so this would be linked to, something, for example, like your Gmail account. You can set up some notification automations that way. If you have a CRM that you have set up that might not have a direct integration with CompanyCam, we can set it up that way as well. And so basically when you're creating a Zap, you need to identify one thing that's your trigger and the other thing that's your action. And so when we're looking at a Zap here, we're actually going to get into my Zapier account, go ahead and create a Zap. We have our trigger here, and then we also have our action. And so your trigger is going to be something that starts this automation. And so for example, in our example that we're going to use today is we're going to use JobNimbus, integration partner at CompanyCam, and we're going to create a project automatically from JobNimbus. And so what we would do first is set up JobNimbus as our trigger. Go ahead and put JobNimbus in here. And then this event, it's asking you what data do you want to start to move over to the next stage. So what are we trying to add that's going to create a project for us in CompanyCam, excuse me. So for example, here we could do job created, modified, or deleted. I'm going to go ahead and select that. So now I want when a job starts in JobNimbus, I'm going to go ahead and create a project for us in Company. And so for here, filter, we can choose if we want it to be created or modified, just created. We're going to go ahead and do created there. And then it's just going to test your trigger. It's going to test that the account has properly been linked to this. It's going to pull up an example job. And then we're just going to continue there. And that's really all we have to do for that trigger. It's basically just identifying like what piece of data do we want to start this automation. And so from here, we want that CompanyCam project to be created. So we're going to click event. And then here, we're just looking for that add project. Choose your account if it hasn't already been linked up. Continue. And then from here, it's basically just adding some data from the JobNimbus side. So when it says name, you just go here, copy the name, address, city, as much information as you really want to fill out to start that project, excuse me. And then your zip code here. And then you can add this ID. So that'd be your JobNimbus ID. And so again, we're just matching this stuff up. And then you can add contact, email, phone number stuff if you want. And then basically we're at the stage here where this Zap is already created. And so from here, we can just go ahead and test it. This is, again, just making sure our accounts are linked up, making sure it has a job inside of JobNimbus, making sure you have a project in CompanyCam. Gives you a lot of good information here that you can look at. Just make sure you have everything added that you want. And then when we publish this is live across my CompanyCam account and my JobNimbus account for all of my users. I can share this out with the people if I need to, but otherwise, now we're good. So now we can go into JobNimbus and actually get a job created. So I'm in my JobNimbus account here. I'm gonna go ahead and just create a job. And then once I save this job, as long as everything's working properly, we should see a project get generated inside of CompanyCam with that same address. So from here, I'm just gonna go into my CompanyCam account. And then we can see that job has been created. And so that's just an example of being able to automate some tasks for you. That way now, no one out in the field's having to manually create projects. You're gonna get less duplicates this way. It's really just should save you a lot of manual entry in regards to that. And so you can kind of see basically just setting up that first initial software that we want to interact with CompanyCam, taking that and then turning that into a project inside a CompanyCam. So, hey, Kento, I think I'm getting a little bit of echo into my headphones. All right, perfect. And so in terms of just, starting that first Zap, triggers and action, is there any questions in the chat that I can answer right now?
Can you just talk us through one more time why setting up a Zap or using Zapier is helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So utilizing, direct integrations that we have with CompanyCam, utilizing Zapier, utilizing the extension, this really just allows you to save a lot of busy work. You're not going to have to worry about somebody in the office having to manually load projects all the time. You're not going to have to worry about duplicates and stuff like that. So it's just reducing error for not only you, but all your crew members. And then also just saving time with tasks that you not really want to be doing anyway. So these are the really big advantages of utilizing even super simple Zaps like we just set up now. But yeah, really good question. Any other questions? Perfect. And so that's really just as easy as, like creating a project inside of CompanyCam. There's a lot more cool things that we can do. The next thing that I wanted to show you is some really cool things that we can do with notifications. And so in our example here, you can create checklists inside of CompanyCam. So basically what you would do there is you can get it so that when a checklist has been completed inside of CompanyCam, you can get a notification to your email. And so the idea with this one is that if I'm a decision maker, every time that I can see that a checklist has been completed, or every time that a job's been completed for my team inside of CompanyCam, that's going to allow you to be able to see that, be able to get a better insight into your crew and be able to manage how they're doing on that particular job. And so we'll do the same thing that we did before. We're basically just going to get into and create a new Zap. So it's just my account here. It has all my created Zaps, has all my published ones. I can turn things on and off as needed. And so it really gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of, how you want to automate your workflows. So for example, here, I'll just go ahead and create a Zap. And so in our trigger here, we're actually going to start with CompanyCam, because when something happens in CompanyCam, I want something to happen inside of Gmail, so my email there. So again, your trigger is what's going to start the Zap, and then the actions is where that data is going to go or what it's going to do. So from here, we'll go to CompanyCam. We'll say when a checklist is completed, that's the notification that I want to receive to my Gmail. So again, it's just going to have you choose whichever account. You're probably only going to have the one. And then it's just making sure my account's set up properly. I have a checklist to add. And so my example here, I'm just selecting which checklist I want to get those notifications on. And so for example here, I want to do this Zapier test template. So once that's completed, I'm going to get that notification. So from here, just go to Gmail. Same thing, it's just going to have you fill out that information. And then there is going to be a little bit more information to fill out just in regards to what that email you want it to look like. And so from here, go ahead and send an email. It's just going to send to me. So to just the email address you want to send it to. You could have multiple email addresses in here if you wanted to have like multiple decision makers in there. You can CC anybody. And then this is just going to come from the email that's set up. So it just comes from myself. Then you can name it. Then your subject. I'm just going to put like CompanyCam checklist completed. And then for your body, here is your completed checklist. Check it out. And then we can insert data into this body. And so for this example, what I want to do is I want to be able to add that checklist link so I can go directly to that link and see that completed checklist on that job. And I also want the project link. Maybe there's some notes or some particular photos within that project that aren't a part of that checklist that I also want to look at. And so we added a couple links in here. And then you can choose which mailbox you want it to go to or anything like that. I'm just going to have it go into my general. And then now we're just at that test action phase. As long as that runs properly for us, we're good to go. You can see send an email to Gmail. If there's something not set up properly, whether that's like your account isn't set up properly, maybe the trigger and action that you're trying to do isn't available, you might get an error message, and then the Zap isn't going to work as well. So you can see here, we're good to go now. We're just going to go ahead and publish. And now we can see, as long as this is set up correctly, we should get that in our inbox too. So we might need to do a little test here quick. So we're just going to create a project and add that checklist. Zapier test. And our checklist. I'm just going to go ahead and grab that one that we want to use. Currently using the extension just to add some photos from a different project. And we're going to go over the extension today too. Basically just a third-party tool, but built through CompanyCam that allows you to upload your photos into other softwares. And so from here, just needed a picture for that one. I'm gonna rate that complete. And so now, when this checklist is completed, basically going to get an email notification to my Gmail, just letting me know that that's completed. Okay, we can see here that's been updated. And so it says, here's your completed checklist, check it out. And so if I click on this, that's going to take me, oh, we don't have it. And this might be just because it was a test from the account where the project hadn't been created yet. So it's creating that project and then adding that link out after the fact. But when you turn this on and start getting to work, it's going to work just fine. And so you got that to-do list there, and then you also get the project link out that's provided. I'm just looking at the chat here. I am going to take off my headphones just so I can hear a little bit better. But any questions in regard to the email notifications or anything else that you guys might want to see in regards to that? Perfect. Yeah, I think those Gmail notifications, I think those could be used across a variety of different workflows. For example, maybe there was a project that you completed, you added that complete label to it. You could easily turn around and create a Gmail notification to get that just right into your inbox there. And again, you can add multiple people onto those. So that way all decision makers, all project managers can kind of be on the same page and know where statuses at are on jobs and stuff like that. And so the next one that I wanted to show you, we get a ton of questions on this, is basically a backup for my CompanyCam data. CompanyCam has limited storage, really easy to use for photos and videos and stuff like that. But some companies do want to have a secondary way to kind of review some of this information. And so the way that we're going to do that is we're basically going to create an automation with Google Sheets that's going to drop in our CompanyCam projects, just so that way we have a secondary source for our projects and our job statuses. So what we'll do is we're going to create that through our Google Sheets. Computer's being a little bit slow here. All right, perfect. And then so our trigger here is when this thing happens in CompanyCam, I want it sent over to my Google Sheets. And so again, your trigger, what starts everything, is going to be inside of CompanyCam. So we'll go to CompanyCam here. And then we'll say when a new project has been added, we just want that link out available inside of Google Sheets. And so this is just having us pull up an example project. It's not going to be only like when this project generates, it's going to be for all moving forward, but it's just grabbing us a record just so that we can test it. So there's our new project in CompanyCam. And then what do I want to happen with that project in CompanyCam? I want it to go to Google Sheets. That's my action there. It's already got me logged in and everything. I'm going to go ahead and create a spreadsheet row. And then now basically all we need to do is decide what we want to actually include in those rows. And so from here, it's just going to ask you which drive you would want that in, or excuse me, where that Google Sheet is. And so that's just in my drive folder here. Ask you which spreadsheet you want to add it to. I'm going to go to that Zapier test. And then you can also have multiple sheets inside of a spreadsheet. So we're just going to go ahead and select that first one that pops up for us here. Getting a little delay here, I might need to refresh. All right, cool, there it is. There's our sheet we're looking for. And then at this point, this is us just filling out what we actually want in that sheet here. So I want the project name, so I'm gonna include that name. I want the address of where that project was worked on at. And then we can also provide that CompanyCam project URL. This is basically just a link out that instead of us having to go and search inside of our CompanyCam account, if we want to have a secondary record here, we can just go ahead and select that URL and it'll take us right to that project that we want. Cool. And it says a spreadsheet row has been sent to Google Sheets about 6 seconds ago. And so we'll just go over and check that sheet. And we can see those are the same, that's the same information that we put in, that pro metric, that address, and then this is that CompanyCam link out that's provided. And so that's a really quick way to be able to, kind of manage your projects from another place, or to kind of have a backup of all your projects, as an easy resource that way. And with that sheet, you can totally customize that stuff. If you want to have like the time that things were completed, if you want to have like when a particular checklist is completed or a label is added, you can update that stuff in Google Sheets. Like just these examples that I'm showing you guys, like that's not the only way that you can use Gmail or Google Sheets with CompanyCam in your workflows. Just trying to give you guys some, some ideas for how you guys might be doing it. And so I would encourage you guys all, after this or during this, just kind of think about like what is some of the busy stuff that we don't like to do that we could probably do faster through automation. Anything that's related to data entry, anything that's related to, kind of like administrative work. Like there's a lot of different things that you can utilize here just to help streamline things for people in the office as well as people out in the field. Bree, do we have any questions at all?
And one that I'm really not sure if this is possible, but I'm gonna ask.
Mhm.
So, one of our customers, they have their crew in the field sometimes is creating multiple projects based on an address or, the name, essentially the same location, but they've got multiple projects for that.
Yep.
Is there any way in Zapier to set something up that allows you to pull photos from those specific projects, or is it more of a project by project, pull from Zapier?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so by default, it would just be by project. But again, this is something that you could do, maybe you could utilize labels in that way. So when these particular projects have a label on them, I want something to happen. So in your example, we could use the Google Sheet example. When I have a particular roofing job, I want it to go inside of this specific Google Sheet. And so I'll do that by adding a roofing label on it, for example. That's just kind of like off the top of my head. So definitely possible, just probably not directly without, adding like labels or something like that.
Thank you.
Cool. And then, yeah, just a one more example I wanted to show you here quick is so we got Gmail here. I wanted to show you Google Drive as well. That's another one where we're using Google Sheets. We've used Gmail. A lot of people would like a secondary backup over to Google Drive. Again, you have unlimited storage through CompanyCam to be able to do that stuff. But in case you want to workflow, we're going to have that Google Drive stuff in a separate place as well. This will work for like Dropbox or something like that too, if you're still using that. But again, we'll just go to that, create that new Zap. And then at this point, we should be pretty familiar with kind of what we're doing here. So that trigger, that initial thing that we're setting up is CompanyCam. And then so we can think about what do we actually want to go in our Google Drive folder. So keep in mind with Zapier, their pricing is, they have some different plans. So basically, if you only have like a certain amount of Zaps that you're setting up a month, that's totally free. And then they do have some plans for like the more and more Zaps that you use or the more actions that you're using. And so you do have the option. If you really want to have a new photo that you take inside a CompanyCam be uploaded elsewhere, you can totally do that. Just keep in mind you'd be paying for those Zaps to get those photos over. So I would recommend more of like a link out situation, so that way you're not paying for the extra storage or anything like that. So from here, we're basically just going to have that project link out be available inside of our Google Drive. And so what we'll do is we'll just have that new project get created. Again, we know that's going to work just fine. We already have some projects in here. We're just going to go ahead and hit continue there. And then just find that secondary source of where we want these projects to actually end up. So that's a good way to think about it, is that trigger, that new project in CompanyCam. Where do you want that project to live, or what do you want to do with that project? So you have a ton of different, depending on the software that you have set up. Some have only like a couple actions and triggers. Some of them have 10 or 20. We have a good amount, and I'll be able to show you guys kind of all of the ones just to give you some ideas of how they're going to work. So for our example here, is we are just going to, we're going to upload a file. All right. Just filling out this information here. Again, my Google Drive, which folder you want that to go in. I just have my Zapier folder set up, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then this is where the actual file, like what you want to upload here. And so my example here, I just want that project URL.
Your screen recording.
Oh, okay.
Unshare that.
Hey, sorry about that. Can you guys see me okay now?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect.
Really good.
All right, and so I'm just going to start at the top of this action for our Google Drive, just to make sure in case anybody missed it. So we basically just added our new project in CompanyCam, and now we're going in and filling out which, Google Drive folder we want it in, what we want to actually upload. That's what this step is here for that file. And we're just going to go ahead and click that CompanyCam project URL because that's what we want. We want that quick link out to be able to view this stuff from a Google Drive or any other source really. Convert to a document. I tried this out before we were just testing some stuff in Zapier, and this is actually going to create like a PDF version of it, which you think that you would want, but with files, documents, even projects, stuff like that. It's going to be not able to be seen. So you actually just go ahead and leave that false. And then for a file name, you can name it whatever you want. If you want to name that the name of the project, that's totally cool. If you want to add an ID as well, just to make it easier for you to find. Looks like our test ran successfully here. It says a file was uploaded to Google Drive. So we'll just check my drive here, go to that Zapier folder, and then we can see that file is already uploaded for us. So a lot of these Zapier triggers and actions are really, really fast, usually almost instantaneously. But if you're ever running into trouble or anything like that, and as long as that's been published and it says that it's running properly, usually safe to just wait up to like 5 minutes just to make sure that that information's working as it needs to. But that was kind of the example for the drive folder. Bree, do you have any questions at all about that one?
No, all good.
Perfect. And then so that was kind of some quick ideas for Zapier. Very simple stuff for the most part, but it should give you a really good idea. I would challenge you all to just think about like, hey, what softwares am I using? What do I do in these softwares that takes up more time than it needs to? I think that'll really give you a good idea to start, creating some Zaps of your own, because it's super easy to start customizing, tinkering around with. If something isn't set up quite the way that you want to, it's super easy to go back and make changes to it. So I will quickly show you in Zapier just all of the different actions and triggers that we have available. And I do believe that we're also going to be sending some of these out to folks as well, just so you have a good idea. Because again, there's up to 5,000 different ones that you can set up. So the opportunity to be able to mess around with it's limitless, really. And so with CompanyCam, I'm just going to show you all the actions and triggers that we have available. So when this happens, so that's your initial start. So I could do it where if a photo's tagged, I want something else to happen in a different program. If a project's been labeled, checklist completed, I showed you guys that one. The new document. So I know a lot of folks need to have like a secondary copy of documents when they're out in the field. And so being able to set up an automation where like any new documents that get uploaded go into like a Google Drive or something like that, it makes it really nice to be able to make sure that you have access to all that stuff. So, and then new photo, new project, obviously, that can, create an automation for you as well. And then again, in turn, when, setting up a different software, when this thing happens in this other software, I want that to get dropped into CompanyCam somehow, or I want something in CompanyCam to get updated. You can do that with, when something happens, it's going to add a project label for you. It's going to create a checklist from a template that gets created. You can find or create a project like I showed you, or you can, add photos, add projects, stuff like that. We have a lot of different options to choose from. So that's Zapier. If you guys do have questions, please reach out to your success rep, reach out to support@companycam.com. We'll be happy to help you out there. And so that final thing that I wanted to show you guys is our Chrome extension. And so the Chrome extension is kind of like what I mentioned before. It's built through CompanyCam. It's an extension inside of your web browser that allows you to add CompanyCam photos to other softwares. And so I've seen a lot of people utilize this for social media stuff. For example, maybe you have like a marketing manager or somebody who's wanting to get photos uploaded to Facebook. Instead of having to give them access to your CompanyCam account all the time, having to send them over photos or anything like that, just allowing them to be able to access that Chrome extension just to add whatever photos they need makes it a lot faster for everybody. Maybe you have a CRM that doesn't have Zapier capabilities, or it doesn't have a direct integration with CompanyCam. This allows you to be able to use those CompanyCam features that you like for the cloud photos, all that stuff, and then be able to, add those into your CRM, maybe like your sales platform to create estimates, whatever the case would be there. So I want to show you guys kind of how this works. So you would just go to your Chrome store. Just go to Chrome extensions here, search the web store, and we're just going to look up CompanyCam. So you can see mine's been added, but you would just click into this and add it to your Chrome. See, in my case, it says remove from Chrome. We already got it. And then I keep mine pinned up here. That's obviously a personal choice, but you'll just want to make sure that whatever website that you're using it for, once it's turned on, you need to make sure that you're logged in here. You can see I have the option to log out. And then I also need to make sure that this is enabled for the site that I want to use. You know, whether that's needs to be enabled for Facebook, needs to be enabled for my CRM, just make sure that it's enabled there for each site. And so what we can do is I can go into my JobNimbus account just to kind of show you. If I want to add some photos to a job that I've been working on through the extension, it's super easy. You just go to whatever area that you'd normally upload photos to. So from here, it just looks like upload. And then I can browse. And then when that's turned on, instead of pulling up this that's on your device by default, just go ahead and make sure that it's toggled. And now if we upload any photos, this isn't a good example. Go ahead and give something else that we can try. Basically, all I'm doing here is I'm just getting to a spot where I can get some photos uploaded from a different program just to kind of show off the extension a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go to a quote that I've been working on, and we're going to get some CompanyCam photos added to it through the extension. So we can see here, when I get to the site, I just need to make sure that it's enabled. And so I can see I got my logged out, I'm signed in here. It's enabled for the site that I want to use. And then when I select a file, it's going to pull up my CompanyCam Chrome extension. And so from here, I can search for any projects that I need. So we're going to click on this roof damage one. And then it's going to pull up the last 100 photos that have been taken inside of this project, and then allow me to add as many of those as I need. So I'm just selecting photos here that I want to upload into my CRM. And you can see those have been uploaded. And so again, that's not an integration that's been set up or anything like that, just a easy to use extension that we created. Just log in, make sure it's enabled, and you can start adding your photos. So pretty straightforward on that one. Bree, do we have any questions about the extension at all?
No questions on the extension.
Awesome, good deal. And so yeah, that's the CompanyCam Chrome extension. Just go to Chrome extensions. You can Google that. Go to their web store. Just look up CompanyCam, and then just make sure that that's on and enabled there. But that's really what we kind of wanted to show you guys today. Just some easy ways to help automate your workflow. First, we kind of covered through Zapier. Really focused on the softwares that you're already using, trying to get more out of them, trying to eliminate some of that busy work that you guys have. And then through the extension, just trying to utilize those CompanyCam photos in more ways, whether that's additional, Facebook advertising, maybe it's adding more stuff to Instagram, maybe it's being able to better share your CompanyCam photos into a quote with a client. It could be a number of things, but hopefully this is beneficial for you guys. Please reach out to your success reps if you have any questions, and you can reach out to support as well. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Austin. We appreciate you jumping on and kind of running through all of that information on integrations for us today. We are going to go ahead and wrap up our class today. If you guys have questions moving forward, always feel free to reach out to your customer success rep. If you don't know who that person is, you can email success@companycam.com, or you always have the option to chat with our support team. You'll see that option at the bottom of the home screen in the app and in the bottom left corner of the web browser. We do want to show you just one last thing today here. We've got a little bit of information on upcoming classes. So moving forward, we've got a live CompanyCam demo coming up on Thursday, July 20th. And we've got a webinar coming up on Wednesday, July 26th. If you guys are interested in signing up for those classes, you can go to companycam.com/classes to register. This is also where you can access recorded classes from the past. You will be emailed a recording of today's class within the next day. Don't hesitate to reach out with those questions, and we appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks so much.